Hey, what's going on, everybody? Nick and Michael here for another episode of Walk-Ins Welcome. And before we get cranking, I want to actually promote our Facebook group real quick. Hannah, who puts together our podcast for us to make sure that this is a good experience for you, has also created a Facebook group called Walk-Ins Welcome, a healthcare marketing resource group.
Good job. You got the whole thing.
I did. Did I read it right?
Yes,
Okay.
you did. And look for our logo.
That's right.
So our logo minus the subtext on it says Healthcare Marketing Resource Group on it. But yeah, so we're in there. The whole point of that group is simply to give opportunities to help people out.
Yeah, and it's also a place to collaborate with other urgent care.
Yeah, we have some other urgent cares in there. Yep.
Well, I mean, hopefully, mostly, right?
Yep.
Like, there's some other patient care marketing type companies in there, or I'm sorry, patient care clinics in there, and it is a resource group, so it's not for any other reason other than for people to be able to go in, ask questions about digital marketing, ask questions about what's working in other clinics. We try and moderate it, of course, but it's really a resource for you to be able to bounce questions off other people. So we're trying to build that community, and we would love to invite you to be a part of that. The other ask that I have today before we get into the episode is just simply like share this episode. You guys are well connected in the urgent care community, and the more we're able to help the community, the better in our eyes. And one of the ways to do that is for you to just share this episode with somebody that might find it as a benefit or a resource to them. Help them go to their clinic.
And subscribe.
Oh yeah, smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, right. And start on YouTube and hit subscribe before we start the episode.
That's right.
But no, really do subscribe because we have there are twice as many of you listening versus subscribed. So come on in and hit subscribe if you like listening to it. It helps us, helps our numbers for sure. But the best part is it alerts you every time a new episode comes out, so it's super convenient for you. And it just helps us overall.
And as always, we're here to help you get more patients, get repeat visits, scale your clinic, deliver better care. We want to make sure that this is the best resource for you as possible. But let's get into today's episode. It's been an adventure. I think last week, or at least here in the recent past, you had the opportunity to meet Grace on our team, who's our client success manager.
Yep. It's a great episode.
Yeah, I went back and listened. I'm not all the way through it, but I did it a little different this time. I went to YouTube and consumed it. I haven't done that. I just want to know what that experience was like.
So did you like our new video setup?
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah,
it looked good. So I haven't consumed the podcast that way. I'm very much in my car. My car is a rolling university to me. I listen to tons of podcasts.
When the radio actually works.
Yeah, right. The radio always works. The touchscreen never works. There's a difference. Hey, listen, it's a Volkswagen, and I like my Volkswagen, but you get what you pay for. So last week I was in Cancun. I was there for the Commitment Summit, which is for digital marketing agencies that are looking to grow in their mindset. This week I've had our whole team in the 7-Figure Agency Conference,
which was the way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been part of 7FA, 7-Figure Agency
21.
Since 21.
Yeah.
And it's always been really Nick and I going either live in Miami or watching online. And then we like collect our thoughts and say, what should we try to go after? Like, what should we tell the team? Blah, blah, blah. And that's been fine and dandy. But, the hard part is, one, you got to convince people to do it.
Right.
And then two, you're kind of the gatekeeper on what were you told? And so there's always missed opportunities because they don't hear it firsthand. Well, this time, because you went to Cancun and I was traveling the week before, we had so much travel backed up. We're like, let's just do it remote.
Yeah.
Just because it'd be easier.
I'm pretty sure the whole team and my wife was going to kill me if I went on another trip.
Yeah, because it's a lot.
I've been traveling a lot,
and which isn't a bad thing, but it's just it is what's happened the past months. But anyway, so we're like, let's bring the whole team on,
right?
And so it's like a 2 day, not a solid 2 days, but pretty close, and because they would break off into a mastermind piece toward the end of each day, and we told our team, we're like, you don't really need to be part of that. Anyway, and it was great because everybody bought in. Mm-hmm. And, at first they weren't sure. They were kind of making fun of us for our cult clap and all that stuff.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And which, by the way, it's a great way to control clapping after somebody
It's
speaks.
also a good way to edit a video.
No, yeah, that's true. No editing there. But anyway, so got them bought in. It was actually really great sessions.
Yeah.
There was one awkward moment when something was trying to be pitched to everybody, and we're like, what are you doing? But overall, really great. They bought, and at the end of a 7FA intensive, they always say, let's take a moment, 30, 40 minutes plus, and focus on one thing.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And that's part of our episode today to kind of discuss what that looks like.
Thank you for laying that up. That was actually beautiful.
Yeah.
Well done.
I was trying.
1, 2, 3.
All right. Now back to Nick to talk about that.
Now you know how the one-handed or the one-handed clap. It's like the one clap thing works. It's just a way to.
Now I gotta look at one-handed claps and what Google tells me to do.
I don't even want to know what's going to pop up on that. That's going to not go well if you wind up doing one-handed clap.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Oh Lord, we are talking about focus today. One of the podcasts that I consume is by John Lee Dumas, and it is Entrepreneurs on Fire. Yes, go listen to it if you're an entrepreneur. The whole point, though, is one of the things he's been talking about for years now is this concept of focus. Now, I know you know what focus is.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
but
we all know
yeah,
what that means, what it looks like, but sometimes putting it in practice is a little different.
Right. So here's the acronym for focus, FOCUS. So follow one course until successful.
Nice.
Follow one course until successful. There's a reason I'm bringing this up, and it's not it's for me because I can get squirreled. I have been pretty good for like the past year, but before that, I'd be like, "Hey man, let's go buy like some storage units," or you know what I mean?
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, like let's go look at other opportunities. And you were really good being the integrator in our company and basically being like my person. Saying that's probably not the best use of our time. We should probably grow this company, right?
Well, and from my own personal experiences, I've worked now with probably 500 businesses,
Okay,
like seeing like the other side, like being a vendor to these businesses, and you always see the problems when there's a very distracted owner that's not in their business and they're starting to fall apart a little bit.
Yes.
It's kind of the frustrating part too, because you think, I don't have that much influence anymore. They should handle all this, blah, blah. But there's always like, I left for 3 months, 6 months to do some new venture. And I came back and like, what are y'all doing? You know, it's like that type of thing. And so that happens a lot. And I've seen a lot of businesses where they kick it up and it gets to a certain point and like, okay, I'm bored with this. I'm going to do something else. And they also have 3 or 4 businesses and none of them are doing that well. And then all of a sudden, what usually happens, one business is killing it, and it's having to feed the other businesses so they don't go under.
That's right.
That's a real thing.
And I'll talk about some of the stories that I have internally, but I really want to just come right out of the gate and kind of apply this to what we're seeing in urgent care clinics. So what typically happens is you get into the summer and things just naturally slow down a little bit. Yep. People are vacationing. You're changing your clinic hours to try and adjust to the reduced demand, however you want to look at it. But the entrepreneur clinic owner is looking for the next opportunity during this slower time.
Yeah.
We've seen it. Hey, you know what? And we've even told you to a degree on some of this stuff.
Like here's some things that you can grow your clinic on.
Right.
But we always preface with, this is assuming you've maxed out your current.
Thank you. That's the point I wanted to make is don't forget to peak before you grow into the next area.
So like we have quite a few clinics we work with, but we have a clinic right now that they said that we peaked and we're happy where we are and we don't really want to grow beyond this. So our next step is to look at another location if you want.
Man, did they do it right.
Yeah. So like when we say peak too. So
I'll even tell it's Lone Star Urgent Care. Those guys are awesome. We love Jace. He's awesome.
He's one of our first podcasts.
And Elias.
Yeah, podcast clients.
Yeah.
And anyway, but in their scenario, they're tapping on the door of like, we physically can't handle more. And they say this but we're holding the quality where we want. And so it's they're at an interesting crossroad because they can either say we're going to stay the course and just do what we're doing best and just run with it, or they begin to hire out to give themselves personally back time because they're in the business, they're deep in the business, or they expand services or expand locations.
So here's the problem. Right. They're doing it right. It's not a problem for them. Here's the problem. This is what I'm seeing with some of our urgent cares. Okay. They've grown from when we got them 10 to maybe now they're at 30 patients a day.
Yeah. They're making money,
but they're not waiting to get to 60 patients a day. And now they're trying to open up additional locations or they're trying to go all in on telemedicine or they're trying to go all in on this new weight loss, Wegovy, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we did a whole podcast telling you should do those things.
Yep.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is you're not hitting that 60 to 65 patient a day wall before you start squirreling. And here's the thing, that clinic, if you haven't gotten it dialed in to those 30, 40, I'm sorry, really 50, somewhere between 50 and 70 patients a day.
Yeah, where you were just at capacity.
Yeah, then you're not ready to add weight loss. You're not ready to add another doctor. You're not ready to add another location. You're not ready for those things yet because you have forgotten the business that you're really in, which is marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
we're not in the marketing and advertising business. We're in the B2B business.
Yeah, relationship business.
We are. You and I, and this, every time I forget what business I'm actually in, I lose my focus. I lose my focus because I'm in the business of reaching you, the clinic owner, you, the doctor. It's my goal as the business owner to make sure that I'm talking to you, not delivering the services that's my product, but I'm in the business of B2B. That's the business Patient Care Marketing Pros, is in.
Well, and looking back to our core values too, we're in the business of creating, I don't say safe haven, but a place that people want to come work for and all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, like it's about the relationship building and everything. But yeah, going back to that simple concept of clinics out there that are listening, and you're like, I really want to add another service to add more revenue. That's the mindset, right? If you're adding a service, you're probably saying, I need to add more revenue. Not really a want, probably a need.
Right.
Before you make one more step, you have to say, am I at capacity with my core service?
Right.
And if you say like I'm at 40, but I know I can handle 60, no, you need to get to that 60.
Let's get you to 60.
Let's get you to
Let's
60.
Get to 60. Keep listening to this podcast. Keep going to our resource pages. Keep listening.
Yeah.
Let's get you to 60.
Yeah, get to that. Get to where it hurts, right? Get that real growing pain there, where you now can say we are at capacity. We're still serving well, because that's the other problem. Because once you break past your capacity, like let's say your capacity is 60 and you hit 70. And then all of a sudden bad reviews start showing up. All of a sudden wait times start getting longer.
Right.
And so you don't want that, right? So now you can capitalize. So let's say I got my 60. I'm consistent with it. Not saying 61 time, but 60 like almost every day. Now you have an audience. Now you can go capitalize on an audience, and you're not harming your core piece. Because that core, even for us, like we have some core actual services that matter.
Right.
And if we go and just ignore them or just say, it's good enough, and not improve them and push them to the limit, it just comes back to bite us.
Good as the enemy of great. You've heard me say that.
Yeah. Well, even that mindset of you already have like urgent care. You already have an urgent care that does urgent care services. Why aren't you maxing that out? That's a whole lot cheaper to max that out than experiment with a hope.
Well, I mean, I can answer the question. I know why they're doing it. They have forgotten the reason. They have forgotten what their actual business is. Again, we come back to, if you're not maximizing out your patients, you've forgotten what you got into business for in the first place, which is to get that patient through the door, right?
Take care of the patient.
That's right. Now, there's other things that you can do when you've done that.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what is the, if we're going to say follow one course until successful, Nick, I've already gotten to 60 patients a day, and that's where we are at our clinic.
Great.
All right. What's the next one thing you should be doing? Let me ask it the way my coach asked me. What's one thing, if it improved, would make all the difference in the world in your clinic?
Yeah.
What is it? I can't answer that for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, we can speculate, but I would be willing to wager a bet, Michael, that 95% of the people listening to this podcast would say if we had more patients coming through the door, that one thing, if it improved, would make all the difference in the world in our clinic. Prove me wrong.
Yeah. And so you got to look at all your dials, right?
That's
so
right.
We have dials that we look at as a company. And you can make it pretty like the general across the board for business dials. You have your profit dial, your operations dial, your expenses, your overall revenue coming in. Like, these are dials that matter for any business. I don't even care what kind of business you
Employee
are.
turnover.
Yeah, turnover rates,
Overhead.
Satisfaction reviews. Like, these are just simple indicators of, is this business healthy or not? Because the mindset usually needs to go the route of, and I'm not saying you need to go sell your business, but the mindset is, if somebody came and knocked on my door and said, I wanted to buy your business, show me how healthy it is, this is what they're going to be looking for. Is it healthy or not? And if you're not confident in that answer, and that's another thing too that I've learned over the years, if I can't spit out some key parameters of our business quickly, I'm not paying attention to them.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Well, I mean, it's funny because we had a discrepancy here recently.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this is what we have like in contracts and agreements. This is what we build. There's a gap.
Yeah,
what is the deal here? And we were, but if I didn't know that,
it wouldn't have come up, right?
That's right.
It just been like, oh, okay. You know, you just would have breathed. Like, mindset too. Every clinic that's listening, how many patients, like, obvious one, how many patients per day are you averaging right now? If you can't set in your mind right this second, you have a problem. Like
and it's a fixable one. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Like, it's a problem that you can fix.
That's the best part with business in general. Like, there's always a way.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that you made a mistake, and then you need to say, I need to get this finished and fixed. Because I think some people just say, that's just how it is. We can't fix it. That's as far as a fix we'll get. It's like, no. I mean, if you said that 10 years ago on XYZ problem, you would have laughed at them because it's been corrected, right?
That's right.
Anyway, yeah. So, like, that focuser is such a huge thing because I think people just forget about it sometimes. They just simply do. Like, we call the shiny object syndrome.
It's funny that you bring that up. So, what happens when you lose your focus in a business, right? So you called it shiny object. Here's something that is going to make me money.
Yeah.
Oh, what if we did this and it made me money?
Or this
whatever.
looks easier than what I'm doing.
So one of my favorite movies, probably in my top 3, not even my top 5, is The Matrix.
The first one?
The first one, yeah. The other 2 don't count. They're there.
Well, and the random fourth one, right?
Yeah, that one's anyway. But The Matrix,
1999.
I remember watching that movie and thinking everything in cinema is going to be different after I see this, and it was true. It changed everything.
I still just remember as a kid watching him dodge the bullets.
Oh yeah, bullet time was insane, and the camera zooming around.
Yeah, and like, how did they do that?
I've never seen anybody do that before.
And because you think about it, that only came out 5 or 6 years after Jurassic Park.
So, I mean, it's 25 years old.
Yeah, and like if you watch it today, it's funny. You watch the first Matrix today, it holds up pretty well. You watch the other Matrixes,
they're bad.
You're like, what were y'all thinking?
Yeah, it did not age well in the other 2. But the first one, there's a scene.
Red pill, blue pill.
No, that's not even the one I'm talking about. But that's a good one too. That's a whole nother. That's cultural at this point, right?
Yeah.
But there's a scene where Neo and Morpheus, Neo had just been woken up. Yeah. And they plugged him back into the Matrix it's for him to learn how to use the Matrix, right?
Oh, the training
program. Thank you. And there's one training program that's called The Girl in the Red Dress.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's all these people walking by, and he knows exactly where he's supposed to be going. He's following Morpheus. He's got a path. He knows what he's doing.
And the
girl in the red dress comes by, and you can just see him. And the next thing he turns around, there's a gun on his forehead. The distraction killed him.
Yeah.
The distraction killed him. The red dress. The red dress is different for everybody. The red dress is a weight loss program when you haven't hit 60 patients a day. The red dress is a new location that's going to eat up all of your profit because you haven't hit 60 patients a day. That's a red dress.
Yeah.
So not a red dress if you've got this all dialed in and it's working. It's a red dress when it's going to cause a distraction and get you killed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm using killed as a euphemism. It's going to put a bullet in your spreadsheet. How about we say it that way? It's going to put a bullet in your P&L.
It's going to cut. It's literally going to cut your profits in half.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything about it. Because now that you're committed into this new venture, because then your mind says, I can't belly up on this thing because it's going to cause damage. I need to just keep pushing. And then it becomes like, well, I've just spent $500,000 on this project and it's not moving right now. Do I cut my losses?
Right.
And then there's the morale part that kicks in, and then you go back to what was working, and they're like, it's not doing what you want it to.
Right.
It's amazing how quickly that turns to. Like, I've seen businesses in like 3 months. Like, what were you thinking? Like,
just destroy themselves.
Yeah.
Personal story with this company. Several years back, I started my pilot's license. And
the 3 years, 4 years.
I have now had it for 3 years. There was a year of training. Well, no, little over. So about 3.5. About 3.5 years ago, right? I started my training, and I remember sitting down with the team saying, "I know me. This is life or death. If I get in this airplane, I have to focus on this, right? But Michael, shoot me straight. Was it time?
I was resistant at the time.
Well, but for good reason.
Yeah.
And your resistance was warranted.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because we had essentially the company didn't fall apart, but I wasn't there to see the problems because I was in an airplane training. Mm-hmm. Right. And during that season, we had to restructure the company.
Yeah.
Right.
COVID.
COVID. I mean, all of these different things happened because I falsely thought that it was time for me to shift my focus on a dream, personal passion. I don't regret it from the standpoint of I'm glad that I have my pilot's license. I regret it from the standpoint of it had a negative impact on my company because my focus wasn't ready to be shifted yet. I was probably a year away.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say arguably this year would be the most yes, I would say to it.
Probably.
Just because.
Good, because I'm starting instrument next week.
True. I've already forgotten about that.
But I've also adjusted it to where it's not anywhere near our business hours.
Right. And the commitment on it's a little different too.
It's very different.
And then we have an actual plane versus when we didn't.
Yeah.
All that being said, but like the status of our business, knock on wood, status of our business right now, like I was talking to Philip, which we found the podcast related to Google. He runs paid ads for us. And
he's good people.
He is. And he was a key hire, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but we're finally getting to that point. I was telling Phil today, he agreed. He's like, I think we're at this point now where we can just start scaling.
Listen, I walked in today and I'm just looking for stuff to go mess around with because y'all don't need me.
Yeah.
This is what you need me for.
Yeah.
Podcasts and relationships and branding and that, like, y'all don't want me in your ads account. Can I do it? Can I do it? Yes. Yeah, I can. Can I build a killer landing page? I'll build a pretty good landing page. I do. I know how to make one convert.
But you have people that can do it better.
Even if they couldn't, what is my new favorite quote of all time? 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome.
There you go.
I measure outcomes at this point. I don't have to be the secret. And by the way, neither do you at your clinic.
No one actually has to be the secret.
Exactly.
I think that's a huge misconception for business because a lot of people say, I need to hire what do you call them? Not the superhero, but basically the irreplaceable person.
Yeah.
What's that phrase for them? Anyway, that's not real because if you hired the guru, we have guru. Guru.
Yeah,
so guru in our world is like the irreplaceable high skill. This person will change everything.
Right.
Right. Those don't exist.
Or we've tried to hire those in the past. It has not gone well.
They don't exist, or if they do exist, they're such a liability for you.
And that's why.
It's a disaster because the reality of it is
you get the ego with it.
You get the ego with it. You get they're still human part, and when you start peeling back the onion, you're like, oh, you just figured out one or two things.
Yeah.
And you could totally, because a real guru, I air quote this, but a real guru is someone who's like, hey, I'm pretty good at this, but I'm more than happy to train people on what I know.
That's right.
That's the guru you want because that means they can just elevate the business, not their seat.
Right.
Essentially. So keep that in your mind. Like, oh, I need to hire this rock star doctor that's going to just change my business. They're just going to be a pain in your rear half the time.
And they may be amazing too. The problem is it's a flip of a coin.
Well, we had a clinic recently that, I mean, this not just this one clinic. We've had having to multiple businesses over the years. They had a key person that was part of their branding that people loved, fired.
Oh yeah.
And now all that branding, all the love review stuff, it doesn't matter anymore.
That's right.
And so like they're having to rebrand a bunch of stuff because they based it on a hire.
That's right.
So,
but going back to the focus, right? That follow one course until successful. I'll ask the question to you hypothetically. What's the girl in the red dress for you right now? All right. What's one thing that if it improved would make a positive difference in your clinic? What is the one thing that you can do that you can focus on that's going to improve your clinic? These are the things that I want you to ask yourself instead of what is the next service we can offer when we're only seeing 25 patients a day?
Well,
or what's the next location we need to get when we're only seeing 25 patients a day?
it makes me think about the 5 whys.
Yeah, go.
Like-
I love that.
So, I mean, and this is a very simple, you're very good at it. Like, I haven't done it in practice a whole lot, but I know you have.
Well, let's practice in real time for our audience.
Oh, no.
Go.
Not again. No, but real quick, to kind of put the how does this work? So,
Okay.
at the end of the day, when you ask yourself a question, ask why 5 times. And usually by the 5th why, you really understand why are you doing this, or why are you considering this, or why is this important to you? So, but ask away. What you got?
Oh, I was going to get you to ask me.
Okay. What do you want me to ask you about?
Well, you go 5 whys on something. Show them what it's like.
Okay. All right. Why do you want to be a pilot?
I have wanted to be a pilot since I was 8 years old and saw Top Gun for the first time, and I wanted to live that kind of lifestyle. And just to be clear, my plane ain't that fast.
Why did you want to live that lifestyle?
In all fairness, I thought it would be super freaking cool. Like the chicks would dig it. And there was some status involved with it at the time. It's not there anymore, but at the time, why do I want to be a pilot today? Ooh, that's a good question. First, no,
5 whys.
No, seriously, like, first of all, I really, really love it. But more importantly, I was 42. I wanted to show my family, my children, my wife, and even myself that I can chase a new dream even at this age.
Why did you want to show them that you could chase a dream?
So that they can do it too. Like, even my wife, my sons, my dad, anybody that's watching me, you're not too old, too young, to anything to pursue something you're passionate about.
So why do you want to inspire?
There's just more to life than making a dollar bill. I want people to live life and experience life, not exist.
Good.
Myself included.
Yeah. So I went from why did you want to become a pilot to I want to inspire people to basically live a life and not just exist.
Yeah, and I've never thought about that, but you,
The 5 whys.
you helped me dig that out in real time.
Yeah, so I feel like we should name part of this episode the 5 whys, but I didn't even get the 5. So anyway, but that's the reality of it. So ask yourself, why are you trying to get a new service?
Mm-hmm.
Why are your patient volume not where you need them to be? Why are you not making the money, or why are you trying to make more money? And then see what happens. And make sure you do it with somebody. Don't just ask yourself.
And it's okay for money to be the answer to that.
I
want to give you permission to say it's okay to make money, and that to be the reason you're doing things.
Because money can also lead to certain types of freedom that you just honestly can't have without money. And then there's also time back, because you've grown enough money that you can bring on more people, which then gives you time back, which gives you time back to your family.
There's a great book I want to recommend called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, by the way. If that's your goal, that's a good one.
If time is your ultimate goal, Buy Back Your Time is a perfect example. It is a mindset. Like, it's not just a decision. Like, it's a full-blown, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so there you go.
I've had a really good time on this podcast. I've been looking forward to cutting it. I've had focus on my mind for a while, but I've just been looking for the best opportunity to go ahead and put this out here. And you're going to need focus now more than ever, because we're coming out of summer, going into school, going into holidays. We're not there yet, but we're right on the cusp of it.
We're about a month away before people start piling back into rooms together and passing along sickness. And
you guys that are squirrely right now, that are slow, you about to get busy.
yes,
So
absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, leave us a review. 5 stars is awesome. Share this episode with somebody. Join our Facebook group, the Walk-Ins Welcome Community, and we will see you next week. See you, Michael.
See you.